nanti. Okay, kalau through WhatsApp not clear, then boleh call no problems. Okay, if we do not know something, then we should find the solution. We should ask apa nama dia, we should ask our teacher. So Maxim 3 ke 4? 3 tak apa, we go slowly. Slow tak apa. Janji sampai. Janji faham ya. Kalau discuss banyak-banyak dan tak faham, tak best juga kan. Tak apa. This is a learning process, not only for the sake of the university, not only for the sake of the graduation. Okay, this is a learning. It should be for ourselves, for us to practice, for our life, for the sake of Allah. Okay, Allah want us to learn. Especially this one, because it's related to the Quranic and then the hadith, okay, all the advice from the scholars actually, the Maxim. Okay, so today, can you see my screen now?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Sebab madam tak boleh nak tengok awak ni. Okay, so our Maxim today is al-masyaqqah tajlibut taisir. Masyaqqah, hardship, tajlibu, begets, taisir, facility, ease. Okay, masyaqqah tajlibu taisir, because you always say I have masyaqqah, I have hardship, I have problems, masyaqqah, why I can't attend the meeting, I have masyaqqah. Okay, tajlibu taisir, because of the masyaqqah, there is a facility, we are eased by Allah. Okay, because we are having masyaqqah. Okay, because Allah tak zalim. Okay, and then He knows whatever that we face, our problem, and because of that, He always wanted to help us, wanted to assist us. For what? To perform our ibadah, to continue performing our responsibility as a Muslim. Okay, this Maxim mostly related to when we want to perform ibadah. Okay. Okay, so what is masyaqqah? The word masyaqqah from the word syaqqa yashuku, which is to be heavy, oppressive, burdensome, unbearable. Okay, two level of hardship, darurah and hajah. Okay, because certain hardship is we consider is darurah, and certain hardship is hajah. Like our hot weather. Okay, hot weather in our country, maybe the Celsius is maybe 40 Celsius. It is not considered as darurah yet. Okay, but when we are at other country where the their Celsius is, the weather is about maybe 50 Celsius, 60 Celsius, it's considered as darurah. Okay, so in our country, the hot weather is not considered as darurah, so that if we face the hot weather, we still have to let's say go out to perform Jumaat prayer, because it is not attain the level of darurah yet. Okay, but the hot weather, when it is happens where the Celsius is go high, when we go out, it will affect our health, it will affect our we will die, so it's considered as darurah. Then at that times we are allowed to not performing the Jumaah prayer. Okay, like sekarang ni COVID-19 kan, COVID-19, why Muslims men is allowed not to to perform Zuhur prayer only, not Jumaah prayer, because is the keadaan ni dah darurah. Because if we still continue, or the mosque still opens for Jumaah prayer, then all the jamaah will be affected by the COVID-19, so it will affect their later on, so it's considered darurah. So that is why the fuqaha, the scholars are in agreement that okay, no need for the mosque should be closed, and then no need for the men to perform the Jumaah prayer because the level of darurah that will affect the five elements in maqasid syariah. Okay, life, wealth, um, progeny, apa namanya, intellect, akal, and then others. Okay. So hardship, the level of hardship is very important here lah in order for us to practice this maxim. Okay. And taisir is a verb, yasara, yasira, yaisiru, like we recite doa kan, Allahumma yassir wala tu'asir. Asir, yassir is to be easy. To be or become easy. Okay, so infinitive dia yasara yuyaisiru, to make easy and to facilitate. Because of the masyakkah, okay, because of masyakkah, we are actually ease. Tajlibu is to attract, because of, bring about. So Islam concern for relieving hardship and difficulty and promoting ease. Okay, so that we are not, we will not feel burdens, and then feel so hard to be a Muslim. So when the implementations of an obligations or prohibition causes excessive hardship, so options are provided to relieve the difficulty. So we are given options because of the hardship. If no hardship, no options. Okay, no COVID-19, so the men Muslim should perform the Jumaah prayer as usual every Friday. And because of COVID-19, it will affect our life, our health. So we are given options to perform the Zohor prayer. Okay. So hardship becomes the cause, sebab of facilitations in the form of a concessions. The concession is rusah lah. Kan ada rusah. So why we are allowed to do the rusah? Because of the hardship. So the basis of legal concessions in many issues, this maxims becomes a basis of the rukhsah. If once ask you why maybe non-Muslim ask you why you are allowed to not fasting during Ramadan. Okay, maybe you can give this maxim, but do not give them masyaqqah tajibut taisir. No, just explain to them that because of I am pregnant, so that Allah my God allow me to break my fast, and I have to replace it with other months or other days. So and my religions and my God will always do not do not want to burden me because I can't fast when my condition is like this. Okay, because I'm sick. So because of the hardships, we are ease. Okay. So this one example in matters lah, worship, muamalah, and criminal. So muamalah later on we'll discuss. Okay, if I give now, then lepas ni dah tak ada dah apa example. So objective of Sharia to actualize maslahah for people by preserving the 5 essential needs like I mentioned. Okay, so the 5 needs will be catered if anything happens that will affect the 5 elements of maqasid Sharia. So we are given rukhsah to reduce, maybe to reduce the number of raka'ah for the traveller, to reduce the act of worships for the sick people. Okay, so when the implementations of obligations, okay, or prohibition causes excessive hardship, options are provided. So jurists have identified 7 reasons for rukhsah. 7 reasons for rukhsah. For the first one, when we are travel, so we are allowed to perform apa? Travel. Prayer,
Jamak kasar.
Kalau jamak
jamak kasar, it is concessions, rosa. So because we are travel, musafir kan. Okay. And then we are we having a disease, we are diagnosed with certain illnesses, so we are sick, we cannot perform uh, the prayer in a very complete actions, nak rokok pun susah, so we are allowed to see it. Okay. And then when we are under questions of force, maybe someone want to kill us and then they force us to eat apa nama dia, khinzir for example, pork, okay. So under this circumstance, so we are allowed to eat even though it is prohibited by our religion. Okay. And then forgetfulness, unintentionally, okay, unintentionally do it. Okay. And then ignorance, we do not know about it. We do not know that someone put pork in our rice, so we do not know. Okay. But if we already know, then we simply eat it, then it is prohibited lah. And then widespread affliction that affect virtually everyone and thus difficult to avoid. Umum balwa. Okay, like um, this one maybe I can relate to the banking systems where previously no Islamic banking system in Malaysia. All are conventionals, and then we want to seek financings or we want to deposit money in a bank but no Islamic bank at that time, so then we are allowed to deposit our money at conventional bank. Okay, because umum balwa, we cannot avoid and we do not have options to apa nama dia, to ignore or to apa nama dia, to we do not have options untuk mengelakkannya, to eliminate it. Okay, umum balwa, something that is difficult to avoid, something that is difficult to avoid. And then deficiency, okay, you lah, because of their deficiency, so they are allowed to pray by sittings throughout their life. Okay, so these are the 7 elements that the juries have agreed for us to allow to have concessions. Okay, so for any question?
No, madam. So far clear.
Clear ya? Alhamdulillah. Okay, so how to judge whether the hardship qualifies for concession? Macam mana nak judge ni? Okay, macam simply je. Okay, keluar rumah je then jamak kasar. Keluar rumah je then we become traveller. Kan? Mesti ada certain cut point dia kan, berapa marhalah. So Al-Iz Ibn As-Salam in Al-Kharafi said, such hardship must be identified by a text, ijma' and qiyas. Hardship tu dah beritahu dah. Let's say macam performing Ramadan fasting kan. Okay, so in surah Al-Baqarah Allah already stated that. Okay, so when it comes for Ramadan, so all the Muslim should fast except dah identify dah, except the mothers that breastfeed her child, and then traveller, for those sick. Okay, it means identified by a text. Text here is Al-Quran lah. Okay, and then by identified by ijma', scholars all have discussed about it. Okay, and then there is a qiyas, scholars jugalah have discussed about it. So so it's considered is we are confident that hardships will receive concessions. Okay, okay, and then Ash-Shatibi said it is based on the people customs, the uruf. Okay, we can refer to the uruf. What people customarily consider hardship is counted as shad, So based on uruf lah, because basically based on uruf in Malaysia different uruf and in Saudi Arabia different uruf. Like say we want to perform Hajj, so based on the custom at that at Mecca. So touching between men and women will not affect the wudu. So based on the custom, based on the punya mazhab kat sana. So then we can adopt mazhab at Mekah. Okay, mazhab Hanafi kan. Okay, even mazhab Syafi'i, touching men and women is not will not affect the wudu, provided that they have no any intentions lah. Okay, no intentions to what, and then it is allowed. It is will not affect the wudu. Yeah. So based on the custom, custom in Malaysia, uh, custom in different country, they have a different. Okay. So customs and also the hardship is being identified, it's been confirmed by the Al-Quran, Hadith, and also by the Islamic scholars. So the conditions for considerations of darurah and hajah. The first one is hardship. The hardship should be real, not anticipated or imagined. The hardships already occurred. Okay, not something that we expect. Like say, for example, COVID-19 is already no COVID-19 anymore in Malaysia. Okay, but suddenly the government expect the COVID-19 will come next month. Okay, so this week the Jumaat prayer still should be continued. Okay, cannot be postponed lah because it is expected. It's not happen. But now when we refer to the real conditions, because of the numbers of cases already increased, it's already happened. Okay, the problem, the issue, and then that is why the scholars have agreed and have confirmed that the mosque should be closed and the men Muslim shouldn't come to the mosque to perform the Jumu'ah prayer. So it's already happened, not something that we imagine. Okay, even though ramalan cuaca pun, okay, ramalan cuaca pun we cannot rely on that ramalan because it is expectation, it is planned. Okay, but when it is occur really, so that the rusah can be exercised lah. And then second one, the facility should not affect the fundamental principle of Sharia. For example, the people right, the justice, the trust. When we perform exercise the rusa, it shouldn't affect other people's right. It shouldn't affect the principle of Sharia. Shouldn't affect the meaning that should not go opposite to the Sharia. Okay, like when we are sick, we are allowed to perform the prayer sitting, lying down, using our eyes. Okay, but if you want to perform the prayer not based on this advice in the Al-Quran, okay, because it is from the Al-Quran, isn't it? Okay, like say we want to perform prayer jumping ke, so tak betul kan, cannot lah. Okay, or running, perform prayer by running because Allah didn't mention it in the Al-Quran. Okay, it's opposite to the Sharia lah. Okay, and then the types of facility, yang ni penting lah, the types of facility ni. The first one is rusa ni, jenis-jenis rusa ni. Jenis-jenis rusa. The first one, an obligation is entirely dropped. For example, disabled, exempted from jihad. Dia rusa jugalah. Rusa yang drop the obligation. Like macam apa nama dia, maradul maut, orang yang nak lagi beberapa saat tengah dengan sakratul maut tu, so dia punya obligations to perform the prayer at that time already drop because of his condition. Okay, but if we just normal sickness, macam demam, so he still have to perform the prayer. The second one is an obligation is reduced. The first one entirely drop. Second one is reduce, shorten the 4 raka'ah to 2 raka'ah for the travelers. It is reduce the obligations, not to drop entirely. And third one is one rule is substitute for another. Like a tayammum is substitute for wudu. It is substitution. Fourth one is timing is shifted. The traveller can break the fast and fast in another day. So time shifting lah. Okay. Yang jamak pun time shifting juga kan. We jamak asar dengan zuhur. Jamak takhir for example, we perform the zuhur prayer during asar time. Kan? Okay, and then a format, way to perform is changed, allowed to press sitting. The format pula yang change. Okay. Another example is kalau dalam transaction ni, usually for the Islamic contracts, we have to perform the transactions apa nama dia, on the spot. Like say between buyer and seller at the same times, jumpa face to face at the same times, we transfer the subject matter, they give us money, this exchange. So by right, it shouldn't happen, it shouldn't do exercise like that. But given the current situations and given the advancement of the technology where the contracts can be performed online, then it is allowed. Okay, the format of the transaction by online format, provided that all the pillars of the transactions is followed, so it is allowed. Okay, kalau tidak susah juga, then we have to prepare all the protections to meet the buyer or the seller kan, because of the normal condition is not allowed that. And then we need to travel to the overseas where high cost incurred, okay, to just to meet and to do the buy and selling transaction or trading transaction. So online transaction is allowed, okay, provided that there is a mutual consent between the parties and all the pillars of the contract is followed. And next one is diurnate makes unlawful acts lawful, like eating pig if extremely starving and no other foods available. So because diurnate. And next is public needs for certain transactions, though have certain issues. Because of public needs, maslahah ammah. Even though certain things is not prohibited, but because of public needs, no other options, it can be allowed. Like a salam sale lah, salam sale. Why salam sale is allowed? I don't know whether we have discussed about this or not, based on one of the hadith. I think last time we read the hadith on the during the prophet times, where people selling dates to be delivered later. So they asked Rasulullah. Rasulullah said, yes, you can deliver the dates later, provided that the deliver dates is is fixed, and also all the details or the subject matter is clear to all parties. It is salam sale. So salam sale is allowed lah, because in Islam we should perform this buy and selling on the spot, whereby the subject matter should appear during the transactions time, during the contract. Kena ada subject matter. We cannot sell something that is not appear, not exist, not own yet. Okay, but in salam, the subject matter only exists in future, because salam is like we buy something but it is not ready yet. So the seller will will plan it like a padi kan, will fruits, they will plan it, and then they will involve manufacturing. So later on in future certain date, then they will deliver to us as a buyer. Okay, so that is salam sale. So Rasulullah allowed it, provided that the delivering date in future should be informed earlier during the transaction is agreement. So these are the 7 conditions of the rukhsah that given to us when we face difficulties. Okay. Okay, dalil from Al-Quran and Sunnah. Okay, in Al-Quran, Surah Al-Hajj verse 78. Allah said, وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ haraj. He has placed no hardship upon you in your religion. Okay, Allah tak letak pun apa namanya, yes, Allah will test us, but Allah have given us the solutions for every problems. وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ haraj. Okay, there will be a solution for every hardship, every problems. Okay, and then in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 185. Okay, the verse that I mentioned before. Ya syahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran hudan linnas wa bayyinatin minal huda wal furqan faman syahida minkum syahra falyasum. Okay, who already know that the Ramadan is come, falyasum, please fast. Wa man kana maridan, who are sick, aw ala safarin, the travel, fa'idatu min ayamin ukhar. So please, you can just perform, you can breakfast and then fast at other days. Yuridullahu bikumul yusra wala yuridu bikumul yusra. So Allah closed this verse. Okay, Allah close this verse. Allah want us, Allah always want ease to us. Allah do not want, Allah will not bring difficulties to us. Walitukmilul iddata walitukabbirullaha ala ma hadakum wa la'allakum tashkurun. Allah close again. Please complete your fasting. If let's say you are sick during the Ramadan, please complete it, replace it. Walitukmilul iddata walitukabbirullaha ala ma hadakum. Please worship Allah, and then please be grateful on whatever the way mahadakum wa la'allakum tashkurun. Please be grateful. Okay, so at the first, Allah make compulsory for the Muslims to perform the fasting, and then Allah give exceptional waman kana, who are sick, who are in travel. Okay, you can perform at other days. Allah, and then He mentioned that He always want ease to us. Okay, and then again, please complete. Okay, dah bagi peluang, and then please complete the responsibility. Okay, that one in Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay, in Surah Al-Baqarah again, 286. Okay, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha, laha ma kasabat wa alaiha maktasabat, Rabbana la tu'akhizna in nasina aw akhtana, Rabbana wa la tahmil alaina isran kama hamaltahu ala allazina min qablina, Rabbana wa la tuhamilna ma la taqata lana bih, wa'fu anna waghfir lana warhamna anta maulana fansurna 'alal qaumil kafirin. Allah does not charge a soul except with that within its capacity. It will have the consequence of what good it has gained, and it will bear the consequence of what evil it has earned. Okay, so Allah, our Lord do not impose blame upon us if we have forgotten or erred. Our Lord, and lay not upon us a burden like that which you laid upon those before us. So our Lord and burden us not with that which we have no ability to bear, and pardon us and forgive us and have mercy upon us. You are our protector, so give us victory over the disbelieving people. So in this verse, Allah mentioned that He will not give something that we do not have capability to face it, capacity to face it. So everything that face us, that come to our life, Allah have mentioned that we can face it. We can face it. So it depends on us how to perform it, how to decide, how to find the way. Okay, how to find the way to still worshipping Allah. Okay. So in hadith from Aisyah radiallahu anha, whenever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given a choice, he would choose the easier course as long as it was not a sin. Yet if it was sinful, he would avoid it. Nor ever take revenge over anybody for his own sake. However, when Allah's legal bindings were outraged, he would take revenge for Allah's sake. So Rasulullah usually will choose the easy one. Okay. Uh, so everything is ease, and then we will feel uh, we will not feel hard. Okay. Especially to perform the ibadah. Okay. The ibadah, even basically we perform because of Allah. Later on, at the final day of judgment, that the ibadah is actually for ourselves, not for Allah. Okay, just test from him. It's for ourselves. Huh? And then hadis. This one hadis. Dari mana ya? Hadassana Muhammad ibnu Bashar, qala hadassana Yahya ibnu Sa'id, qala hadassana Syu'bah, qala hadassana Abu Tayyah, an Anas an Nabi SAW, qala yasiru wa la tu'asiru wa bashiru wa la tunafiru. The Prophet said, facilitate things to people concerning religious matters, and do not make it hard for them, and give them good tidings, and do not make them run away from Islam. Okay, yasira wala tu'asiru, bashiru wala tunafiru. Yasiru wala tu'asiru. Okay, please ease others. Okay, in this hadith concern about the non-Muslim, but we can practice this hadith concerning any matters in our life. If people seek help from us, please ease them. Yasiru, please ease them. Do not bring difficulties to them. Wabashiru wala tunafiru, always ask them to wabashiru to the Islamic teachings. Wala tunafiru, do not go far from the Islamic teaching. Okay, so we can memorize and practice and feel this hadith. If someone asks any help from us, we shouldn't bring difficulties to them. In other words, we should assist them. Okay, example in fiqh issues. Stoning of Jamara on 11, 12 and 13 of Zulhijjah after the sun had passed the peak. So due to safety reason, the pilgrims are allowed to stone the Jamra at night. Okay, basically it is advised for the pilgrims, orang yang mengerjakan haji, to do melontar batu di Jamrah on 11, 12 and 13. So dia punya time makbulnya doa when they stoning, do the stoning, biasanya dia akan recite the doa lah. So biasanya dia kata the waktu mustajab tu yang bagus is bila the matahari pass the peak. Maksudnya lepas maghrib kan, the sun had passed the peak buat lepas maghrib. Okay, so due to safety reasons, so waktu malam pun okay. Okay, this is not basically waktunya lepas maghrib, but because of banyak so crowded at that times, it may affect our life. Ada yang meninggal waktu tu. So no harm to perform the stoning at night, tengah-tengah malam bila orang dah tak ada, bila kurang sikit, not so crowd. So and then flat rate in charging a fee. This experience of doing haji ni, I think based on experience, because usually for those who perform Hajj, in every the pillars of Hajj, single pillars, so everybody actually will go for it. So because of crowded, so then there are many rukhsah is given. Many rukhsah is given at that times, because Hajj times is very, I think macam sebab ramai orang kan. So the rukhsah is given to the pilgrims. Okay, not only, I think not only stonings, but in other pillars pun. Okay, because I don't have experience, but I can feel that. And then there are many sharings from the pilgrims. In every single pillars, they have a challenge. They are so challenging to perform the Hajj. Okay, so because of the safety reasons, we can choose the east one. Okay, just choose the east one. Do not follow the crowd, because it will affect our life, our health also. Okay, sampai meninggal kan, ramai. And then second one is flat rate in charging a fee with actual usage is difficult to be quantified. This one macam Islamic transactions, tapi it can be for any transactions lah. Like like if you want to do apa dia flat rate banyak example sebenarnya. Okay, like a government give maybe impose a service charge when we eat at a restaurant. Service charge berapa persen lah? 6% is not 6%, maybe 13% of service charge. So how the restaurant owner wanted to calculate the service that their apa nama dia, the employees give to the client, to the customer. So usually the government impose 13% of service charge for all restaurants. Okay, flat rate in charging a fee, flat rate in imposing certain tax rate ke certain fee. Okay, service charge is 13%. So if every single customer they want to impose a different rate, so it difficult for them. It will affect their business, macam slow sangat nak kira this one how much the service that we have given to them, because they ask many things from us, so high service charge. So it's not like that. So it's allowed to just give a flat rate of service charge. Okay, like if you want to withdraw from ATM machine, kan, service charge apa? RM1. Nowadays no more RM1 service charge kan, but previously government imposed RM1 for every withdrawal from different banks. If you go to ATM machine, Maybank ATM machine, but you bring a Bank Islam ATM card, then you will charge RM1. Regardless how much you withdraw. Okay, so flat rate of service charge, because difficult to count. Okay, the total cost that incurred. And then the third one, pregnant woman is exempted from fasting if she believes will cause hardship and affect her and baby. Okay, this is example. Example ni I dah bagi kan. And then Islamic finance, the administrative charge of card, Hasan, Takaful and debit card is to basically this charge, this one relate lah with the example that I give. So basically this charge should reflect the actual expense, but because of it's difficult to calculate the actual expense, like say this per bank officer, how much he spend time with you if you want to open a bank account, so how much the time, so how to charge every hour, every minute, so what is the cost for the banks, cost to pay the salary for the bank officer, their salary is charged is count monthly kan, so how to calculate the expense. So that is why the bank can impose a certain fixed rate. Open deposit books. Tak kisahlah you bring 1 million ringgit pun. If you want to open a deposit books, RM50 is service charge, for example, 1 year. Even you bring RM50 pun, so same. It's difficult to calculate the actual expense. But if the bank's able to calculate the actual expense, that's very good. And then tax implications, tax implications ni like yang government, basically the income tax lah. Okay, the income tax ni usually the government will impose, okay, um if your yearly incomes, if not more than 70,000 per year, this is the rate of tax. This is tax rates of your total incomes minus all your expenses. You just need to pay maybe 10% or certain percentage. And if your income is in this bracket, like from 70,000 to 200,000 K per year, so you need to pay 13% or 20% for income tax rate. So that's these are the tax, apa nama dia, how the government impose the tax for certain group of people based on the tax. Uh, so why? Because difficult for the government to measure each individuals approach, and then seorang kena datang dekat LHDN and then calculate, and because of this so calculate, so that is why government impose a bracket of income tax. Okay, for income dalam bracket this one income because of ni tak kisahlah you 71,000 or 70,000 or 100K, because you are in that bracket, so these are the tax rate that you should pay. Okay. And then late penalty charge that we call ta'wid. Ta'wid is late penalty charge. It is compensations, payments because of late payments of financings. It charged by the Islamic banks lah. So the amount of ta'wid cannot exceed the actual loss suffered by the financier. So in ta'wid calculations, when let's say um the customer, they have financing with the bank, so the banks ask them to pay based on, like say, vehicle financing 50K. So for 5 years monthly he should pay 500 ringgit. So let's say he lapse 2 months or 3 months, do not pay in October, November and December. Okay, usually what the conventional do is they will impose late charges, late penalty charges. And then this rate of penalty charges is depends on the individual bank. Certain banks impose 3%. Okay, 3% over the late payment, and then if daily, and it is compounded. If let's say 1st of November you late 3%, and then next uh, 2nd of November late also, they will compound it from the first day. Okay, so then it becomes 3% over the previous day, 3% also, so it will be compounded, it become large later on. So that's happened in conventional banks. For the Islamic banks, are given two options, either to impose ta'wid or gharamah. Okay, if they impose ta'wid, is considered is compensation for the bank, because when the customer do not pay 1 month or 2 months, the bank do not receive any incomes. Do not receive the payment. Usually when the bank receive a payment from the customer, they will use the money for investment or to give financings to other customer. Now the banks having costs because they do not receive the expected amounts of payment from the customer. So that is why they are allowed to seek compensations from the customer. The thing is, Bank Negara only allow for the banks to charge maximum is 1% of compensation rate. That's okay lah. So 1% is not, it is already fixed by the central bank. Maximum 1%. You cannot go beyond 1%, and it shouldn't be compounded. It should be a daily based on daily calculations lah, not a compounded from the previous day. So this let's say day one late 500 ringgit. Okay, so 1% over 500 ringgit is 5 ringgit or 50 ringgit. Okay, so one day is 50 ringgit. Second is 50 ringgit, 50 ringgit, 50 ringgit, the charges. But for the conventional banks, 50 ringgit plus 50 ringgit and plus 50 ringgit. So 3% over 100 ringgit, 3% over 150 ringgit. So it's compounded. Okay. So this one, the compensations charges can becomes a profit for the Islamic banks. And another option is the bank can impose gharama. Gharama is totally penalty. Gharama is penalty lah, not compensation. If they impose penalty, meaning that they have intentions to teach or to give a lesson to the customer because of late in paying the installment. So this gharama rate is also 1%, but the income from gharama ni, this money should be channeled to the charity. They cannot make it as a part of their profit. Okay. But if the bank follow ta'wid, choose ta'wid, that ta'wid portion can become their profit because it's play a role as to compensate the losses, the cost that happen to the bank. That is why nowadays most of the bank choose ta'wid, compensate. Yes, they occur a cost when they do not receive the expected payment from the customer. It is their right, okay, to receive it because the customer already agree. At the initial stage, the customer agreed to pay 500 ringgit monthly. So why they forget the agreement, the promise? So that's why the bank can impose, but the percentage of compensation should not go beyond 1%, should not becomes a source of incomes for the banks. Okay, meaning that the bank cannot take advantage lah over the compensation rate. So that is why the central bank fix the maximum is 1%. It is enough to compensate your total costs. Okay, that happened to you. Okay. So there is example lah. Okay, example where because this one how to relate with the Maxim is hardship Begets facility kan. Okay, so because of hard for the banks to calculate what is the actual cost for them, so they are allowed to impose 1%. Okay, so no need to calculate the actual cost during this day and for every customer what the cost involved. So and then calculate and then impose certain rate. So just enough to fix 1% as ta'wid rate for late payment. Okay, penalty. Okay, so that's all. Okay, for the this one issue of the ta'wid lah. I think I have mentioned this one. You can read later on. I have discussed this just now. This one example lah. Example of computational and conventional. Okay. Max housing. This one housing loans. Same je. Nanti baca. And B made a financing for Islamic banks. 1%. 1% over 2,000. Okay. So this one 5%. Interest are compounded. Okay, so the Islamic bank just the total the total payment that's late 2,000. 1% over 2,000 is 20. Okay, so 2 months 20 times 2 months 40. 40 ringgit is amount of compensation rate. So the monthly installment 2 months is 4,000 plus 40 ringgit. 4,040 ringgit. Not compounded like this. Okay, that's all. A busy life makes a prayer harder, but prayer makes a busy life easier. So if you want to get a rest in our life, please pray. Okay, then we can get a full rest during a prayer, provided that we focus in our prayer. Okay, so that's all. Any question? Any question?
No, madam.
No, madam.
No,
Clear tak?
madam.
Clear tak this Maxim?
Clear.
Clear.
Can you practice this Maxim after this?
InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah can.
Alhamdulillah. Oh, siapa nak pergi toilet ni? Aina. Aina dah pergi dah toilet?
Dah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay. So 9:37. Okay, I think that's enough for today class. Okay, I hope you you get the understandings on the Maxim that we discussed today. If you face any difficulties against, please find solutions, and then you can share with me directly, WhatsApp me if you wanted to share with me. Okay? So jangan simpan-simpan, jangan tunggu sampai last masa dah nak end baru nak share that you have no group assignment, you having a problem with your group mates, difficult to make a discussion. So far, how you discuss with your friends?
Google Meet.
Google Meet. Tak discuss lagi, Muhammad. Jangan tunggu last minute ya. Buat assignment ni kena cepat-cepat. Cepat je buat. Jangan tangguh-tangguh. Do not postpone. Okay. So no questions. We end our class today with surah Al-As and tasbih kifarah. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Madam.
Yes.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Madam, are you